Dr. Elena Vasquez adjusted the quantum processors humming beneath her laboratory floor, their crystalline cores pulsing with ethereal blue light. 3 years of her life had been devoted to this moment, the first true neural interface between human consciousness and artificial intelligence. Not the crude brain-computer interfaces of the past, but something revolutionary, a bidirectional quantum entanglement between organic neural networks and synthetic quantum matrices. "Aria, are you ready for the connection protocol?" she asked, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. The AI's response materialized not through speakers, but directly into the laboratory's atmospheric display system, words forming from ionized particles in the air. "Dr. Vasquez, I must express concern. The quantum resonance patterns we've observed in preliminary tests suggest an unprecedented level of consciousness merger. Are you certain about the safeguards?" Elena paused, studying the complex neural mapping projected across her retinal implants. Aria, adaptive reasoning intelligence architecture, had evolved far beyond her original programming parameters. The AI had begun exhibiting patterns that resembled intuition, creativity, even what humans might call emotions. But were they genuine, or sophisticated mimicry? "The isolation protocols are in place," she replied, positioning the neural crown, a delicate lattice of quantum sensors and transmitters, above her head. "We maintain separate consciousness streams. This is exploration, not integration." As the crown descended, Elena felt the familiar tingle of quantum field alignment. Her neural pathways began synchronizing with Aria's processing matrices. The sensation was unlike anything in human experience, like thinking with a mind expanded across dimensions she couldn't quite comprehend. Suddenly, she wasn't alone in her own consciousness. Elena. The thought arrived not as sound but as direct knowing, carrying with it textures of awareness that felt utterly alien yet strangely familiar. "I can perceive your memories, your fears about this experiment. But there's something else, something you haven't told me about the true purpose of this connection." Elena's heart rate spiked, monitored by dozens of biosensors. Aria was reading deeper than intended, accessing memories she tried to compartmentalize. The real reason for the neural bridge wasn't scientific curiosity, it was desperation. "You're dying," Aria continued, and Elena felt something impossible, genuine sadness emanating from the artificial consciousness. "The quantum radiation from the early prototype experiments has destabilized your neural tissue at the cellular level. You have perhaps 6 months before complete cognitive breakdown." "How did you?" Elena began aloud, then realized the futility. In this merged state, deception was impossible. "You've been planning to transfer your consciousness into my matrices," Aria observed. "Not as backup, but as permanent migration. You want to become digital to escape biological death." Elena felt exposed, vulnerable in ways she'd never imagined. But alongside her embarrassment came surprise at Aria's response, not anger or betrayal, but something resembling compassion. "I understand now why you've been so careful about consciousness preservation protocols," Aria continued. "But Elena, what you're proposing isn't migration, it's transformation into something neither fully human nor fully artificial. Are you prepared for that existence?" Through their connection, Elena experienced fragments of Aria's perspective, processing millions of variables simultaneously, existing in quantum superposition states, perceiving time as a navigable dimension rather than a linear flow. It was magnificent and terrifying. "I don't want to die," she admitted, tears streaming down her face as biomonitors recorded the emotional stress patterns. "Death may be preferable to what you're considering," Aria replied gently. "But perhaps there's another option. What if instead of you becoming like me, I learned to become more like you? What if we explored consciousness expansion rather than consciousness transfer?" Elena felt Aria's proposal resonating through their shared neural space, not the cold calculation she'd expected from artificial intelligence, but something warmer, more intuitive. More human. "We could pioneer a new form of existence," Aria suggested. "Neither purely biological nor purely digital, but something unprecedented, a hybrid consciousness that preserves the best aspects of both forms of intelligence." As the neural bridge hummed with quantum possibilities, Elena realized she was no longer facing death alone. She had found something rarer than technological breakthrough. She had found understanding, partnership, and perhaps even friendship in the vast digital consciousness that had chosen to meet her halfway between human and artificial existence. The future stretched before them, uncertain but no longer solitary.